Welcome to the Retro Video Store Podcast.
Welcome, everyone, to the Retro Video Store Podcast. I'm your host, Eric.
Hi, Eric.
And that's my co-host, Neil.
I'm Neil, and who is currently driving his happy ass back to Utah?
That would be David. He supposedly will be here next week, so we'll see.
Fingers crossed. He still has a job, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's good. Good. He hasn't been doged out of out of a job yet.
What are the 5 things you did last week? Saved people, saved people, saved people, saved homes, saved people.
Fought fire, saved people. Yeah.
We're both fucking tired. This is going to be so hard. Let's go.
No, I'm good. I actually have a lot of enthusiasm for this movie. This week is the second week of Monster March. We did last week with a Godzilla movie. We watched Godzilla vs. Biollante, which was underwhelming. If you've listened to that podcast, we talked about how looks good, not that exciting. So a little disappointing. But this movie, the movie that we're watching this week, Alligator from 1980, I was pleasantly surprised how much I liked it.
See, I had a hard time believing that this was ever released in theaters. This was a movie. This was a movie of the week. This was like an ABC movie of the week. I saw this on network television.
I have a feeling that a lot of people feel the same way because this was a HBO cable classic. It was a sci-fi movie original a sci-fi movie that used to play all the time on Sci-Fi on USA Network. And it was also, your ABC movie of the week. So I think a lot of people saw this young like us, but don't remember it in the theater and have a hard time believing it was in the theater. So.
I do. I had a rough time with that. I mean, I looked it up just to make sure. It's like, this is not a video store era thing. This is a TV movie kind of thing. But yeah, sure enough, it was. But I remember sitting on the couch waiting after we'd seen the commercials all week long to watch this with my parents. I think it was like a Sunday night we watched it.
Oh yeah.
Because I was, completely shocked that someone would, my God, who would throw that poor innocent baby alligator in a toilet? Nobody ever does that. Nobody ever flushes things down a toilet. Yeah. Until you get older and like countless fish go down when the kids, where'd Goldie go?
Yeah. I've been flushing a few beta fish down the toilet and replacing them for my son when he was young.
We buried the first one. He wanted to give it a burial, so we took it out and buried it.
Those beta fish, man, they're doomed as soon as you get them home.
Ours last a really long time. I don't know what their lifespan is, but we get them and we don't put them in just bowls. We put them in like a tank with like aerated water and stuff.
Yeah, that's what we did too. We had one that lasted for about a year. We were very, very proud, and then we had another one after Freddie the fish died, and we went through like 3 or 4 of them until we were finally like, okay, it's enough. Enough of the beta fish.
Yeah, they usually last like 3 or 4 years for us.
Wow, that's good. You have a good track record.
I take the responsibility of being a fish parent very seriously, Eric.
You must, because I was probably a negligent fish parent. But before we jump into Alligator, let's do what we always do. Neil, what did you watch this week?
So I watched an Apple original movie. I watched The Gorge.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was it about besides a gorge?
You just blow the lead on it. So there was this test facility, and it was trying to do some work between the United States and Russia, and I forget the other country, and there was this seismic event, and it started to leak this toxin of some experiments that they were doing, and it melded people with plants and all other kind of shit inside this gorge, but it was kind of contained. And the government and this privately run company decide to mount, turrets and shit and a guard tower on each side. And so there's like the the Russian side. There's like the American side. And there's a woman over on one side, a man over on one side. They get to talking. They figure out how to zip line back and forth to each other. Shit goes sideways and they end up down in the gorge and they find out that it's, experimentation from some arms company, and they blow the fucking shit out of the gorge and kill the bad guy and live happily ever after. I was a little irritated with the ending. It was a little bit too happy, but it's worth a watch. I love once they get down into the gorge and they're fighting their way through like these weird, like human plant hybrids. That was a lot of fun. The special effects were great.
Anybody splice the soul or their daughter's DNA to a rose?
Thank God, no.
No. And her picture didn't fly to.
Well, these things, they're like the fast zombies. These creatures, they will haul ass at you. Not like Biollante, who just kind of lays there and flicks his vines about haphazardly.
Yeah. I hear that show The Pit on Apple Original, and Apple Original is supposed to be really, really good. It's about ER.
I haven't taken a look at all.
Yeah, I hear it's really good, but I haven't watched it.
Way too much on right now. That's the problem. There's just way too much
one series
happening.
I'm actually excited for is Daredevil.
Daredevil. I knew it. Jinx. Owe me Coke.
I saw that I saw like a clip of Bullseye and Daredevil fighting, and it looked fucking amazing. And I'm like, okay,
in the stairwell.
I'm gonna have to really watch this because it looks exactly like everything you ever wanted in a Bullseye versus Daredevil fight.
Did you watch the original series?
Yeah, that's one of the few Marvel series I've actually watched.
What about The Punisher? Did you watch that?
Did not watch The Punisher.
Oh, The Punisher. There's a great scene where he's in jail and he's working his way through a whole cell block. But of course, you've seen the commercials for it, so you know that The Punisher's in this. But I was flipping through social media. I guess they're going to give him another series, or at least a one-off movie. Loving it.
But this is getting some major buzz that it's supposed to be really, really good. Probably one of the best Marvel series ever. So I'm excited. Vincent D'Onofrio does a really good job as the Kingpin. Mm-hmm. Charlie Cox is a good Daredevil, so I'm excited for it.
Really good. I just hope he's not as whiny, as he was in the first one. Like, just get to it. Be daredevil-y, damn it.
Yeah, too much Catholic guilt.
Yes.
That was kind of Daredevil's thing. But, yeah.
That and his heightened senses. It's not Ben Affleck, so I'm down.
No Jennifer Garner.
No, she had her bit in the Wolverine.
Deadpool Wolverine movie.
Wolverine Deadpool. I was sitting there in my head like, is it Deadpool Wolverine Deadpool?
Yeah.
I feel like the guy from Reservoir Dogs, fucking Jimmy Choo.
Toby Choo. Toby Wong. Toby. Madonna's big dick and one.
She's like Charles Bronson, The Great Escape. She's digging tunnels.
Yeah.
Boy, that's a long fucking awkward pause.
Well, aren't you supposed to ask me what did I watch this week?
No, I love the awkwardness of it. It brings me so much joy. Thanks for only thinking of yourself and how you want the podcast to flow. Just taking that little bit of enjoyment.
There's only two of us. There's nobody else to ask what they watched this week.
Gee, Eric, what did you watch this week?
All right, I will say I watched a lot of stuff this week. Since there's no football on, I just watch a lot of what's on HBO, which on HBO Max or Max. And it seems like it's the Lord of the Rings channel lately on Max. That's all they've been showing. So I've been popping in and out of Lord of the Rings, and always watch the Ride of the Rohirrim. And then,
did you watch it?
No, the War of the Rohirrim. I started watching a little bit of. I caught the last 15 minutes of it.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it. I liked what I saw. It wasn't bad.
Okay, I'd thought about watching it, but just the late nights have just been kicking in. I had a friend that had brain surgery, so we kind of been going over and trying to keep him cheered up, and because he can't leave his house. And we didn't have Thanksgiving this year because Dad died right before Thanksgiving, so I still had this giant ass turkey in the freezer. So I his wife and daughter had to go to some like competition thing, and he's kind of sitting there, and I'm like, fuck it, dude, you're coming to my house. We're having Thanksgiving. So I was just spending a lot of time just, making sure like lawns were mowed and things were taken care of at the house.
You're a good friend.
Yeah. Don't you fucking forget that either.
Oh, I've known you for a long, long time. I don't forget that. Since 6th grade, man. A long time ago.
Yeah, God, it has been such a long time. Oh, it's time to cut. Well, fish or cut bait. Fuck off. I'm out.
I also watched today RoboCop, like the last 2/3 of RoboCop, it's really one of the greatest movies of all time. Just no doubt. It's so good. It just, everything about it is so fucking good. The dialogue, the action, the special effects, the story, I think it's one of those perfect movies. Conan the Barbarian, RoboCop, it's just kind of up there as far as like it is impeccable, watchable movies.
It's a little hard to believe though, like a company, a corporation coming in and taking over like a vital government function and basically running people's lives with like no concern for them whatsoever.
That's purposely tanking the police department in order to have crime run rampant so they can provide new infrastructure to build Delta City.
Yeah. Yeah. Super far-fetched. I believe a dude could fly before we would let a company, a corporation, or a single human being do that.
Well, RoboCop 2 is even more like that. RoboCop 2 is on immediately afterwards, and I forgot how fun RoboCop 2 is. Is it as good as RoboCop? No. Is it as bloody as RoboCop? No, but it's still got some good stuff. And I like Kane, turns out to be the evil RoboCop, but he's the guy who's running all of the nuke in Delta City or Detroit, which is like the fentanyl of Detroit in there. And my favorite thing about RoboCop 2 is the montage of the failed RoboCops, where the one guy is like, they introduce RoboCop 2, and he immediately takes his gun and shoots this lady, shoots another guy, then shoots himself, and then and his little lights are on, and they're like, ugh. And then the second guy is like a really kind of thin-looking RoboCop, and he just screams and pulls his head off, and you can see his skull, and he falls over. and the head of OCP is like $19 million. So they wasted $19 million in research and development on 2 failed RoboCops. It is written by Frank Miller, so it's kind of got the very Dark Knight Returns kind of plot and sarcasm. So it's pretty good. It's worth watching. It was a nice little double feature today of RoboCop and RoboCop 2. I enjoyed it.
I'm having a moment in my head. I'm thinking about the blood squibs.
Oh,
just
God.
About all the blood squibs.
You can watch the director's cut of RoboCop on Max. And it is just that boardroom scene where the Ed 209 comes out. That is the best use of blood squibs in any movie ever, because it's such overkill. It like goes from horrifying to funny to horrifying to funny all in like 20 seconds. It's just a perfectly played out scene. So good.
Yeah. Now I really want to watch RoboCop, you bastard. Really, really want to go tune that in.
Oh, mention our one of our listeners, Jason, again, who is a frequent writer to us. He was talking about how there is a 4.5 hour cut of all the 3 Hobbit movies together that kind of makes them a more cohesive story. He recommended that instead of watching all 3 movies. But yeah, have to check that out. Although I've only watched the original once, each one of them once. Going back, listener Jason recommends a 4-hour cut of the Hobbit movies together, which I kind of want to watch, but I think I've only watched each one of them once, and I think I'm good, kind of good.
We're talking about Bilbo, not Frodo.
Yeah, the Bilbo series, The Hobbit.
I don't know, man.
Yeah,
I don't know. I was so disappointed with all the extra shit that they added.
Yeah, Legolas running around and the head dwarf guy being all handsome and stuff like that.
He was attractive.
For a dwarf. I want down to Goblin Town.
Where there's a whip, there's a way.
Yes, that Rankin and Bass Hobbit movie is all you need. It's all you need.
Stuff of childhood nightmares.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about Alligator and giant monster animal movies and Jaws ripoffs, which Alligator is definitely a Jaws ripoff, but a pretty well done one. So, want to hit us with the Internet Movie Database tagline there?
A pet baby alligator is flushed down a toilet and survives in the city sewers. 12 years later, it grows to an enormous size thanks to a diet of discarded laboratory dogs injected with growth hormones. Now humans have entered the menu.
All right. This poster for Alligator is iconic. I do remember this VHS box as a kid and freaking out because it looks so good. The poster's got the, it's kind of black. You see the alligator at the end of the sewer tunnel. It lives 50 feet beneath the city. It's 36 feet long. It weighs 2,000 pounds. And it's about to break out. Distinctly remember that poster. If you try to watch it on Tubi and you put Alligator 1980, the poster that they have for it does not look near as good.
Yeah, that was where I watched it. And so I'm sitting here having memories of this and sitting back watching it and all the bits that I remembered and all the nuances that kind of like zipped past me as a kid. And as soon as I threw it up on Tubi and I looked at it and went, oh, son of a bitch, Eric gave us an alligator that I don't recognize. It's a different movie. And then it came on. I'm like, okay, I'm very happy.
Yeah, it kind of threw me off when I looked it up for the first time. I was like, is this the movie I want? So, yeah. But it was directed by Louis Teague. He has interesting filmography. He directed The Lady in Red, 1979. That's not the one with Kelly LeBrock. Then he did a movie called Fighting Back, a.k.a. Death Vengeance. Cujo, Cat's Eye, so 2 Stephen King adaptations, Jewel of the Nile, Collision Course with Pat Morita and Jay Leno. I can't believe there's a buddy cop movie with Pat Morita and Jay Leno.
I feel really bad because I've seen it.
I don't doubt it. Yeah. 1989 action comedy starring Jay Leno as a Detroit police officer and Pat Morita as a Japanese officer forced to work together to recover a Japanese turbocharger stolen by a thief, played by Chris Sarandon.
Yeah. And
you did Navy SEALs. Ooh, Navy SEALs. I was thinking about that in Clerks.
I'm still remembering bits of that movie with Jay Leno. Like he's on crutches because he's all jacked up and he looks at Pat Morita, goes, yeah, is this how you do it? And like does some like weird half-assed bow. Like it was so bad.
Doritos?
But I watched it.
Navy SEALs, a movie called Wedlock with Rutger Hauer and Joan Chen. It's bizarre. T-Bone and Weasel, a television film starring Gregory Hines and Christopher Lloyd. That sounds terrible.
T-Bone
Saved by the Light.
Weasel.
The Dukes of Hazzard reunion show. And lastly, a movie called Triangle with Luke Perry and Dan Cortez. Wow. I would say he peaked with Jewel of the Nile. Maybe Alligator. I don't know.
You know what? I like Jewel of the Nile.
It's not bad. Romancing the Stone was good too. Both those movies are pretty good. Better than they had to be.
I want to say hello to my little mule.
This was written by John Sayles. And John Sayles is a funny... It kind of has a funny dichotomy because he's known for like high-minded independent movies like Brother from Another Planet, Matewan, 8 Men Out, Passion Fish, The Secret of Rowan Inish, Lone Star, and Men with Guns. But he also made money to finance his other movies by writing schlock. He wrote Piranha in 1978, which we probably should do someday.
Yes.
He also wrote The Lady in Red, directed by Louis Teague. The Return of the Secaucus 7, which is his like passion project. But then he wrote Battle Beyond the Stars, a Roger Corman movie, Alligator, The Howling, and then he did The Challenge, which is a movie by John Frankenheimer where Scott Glenn and Toshiro Mifune are in a movie together. I don't remember that one.
I don't remember that either.
But then he started doing more mainstream stuff. Clan of the K-Bear, Meituan, Apollo 13. He did an uncredited ride on that one. So it's kind of funny that he is known for kind of more intellectual stuff, but he kind of is responsible for some of these schlock 1980s, 70s, 80s exploitation movies. So this was released on November 14th, 1980, and it had a budget of $1 million, and it made $6 million at the box office, which is a pretty good return on the investment. But like Neil, I do not remember this ever being in theaters. I only remember this at the video store and on the ABC Movie of the Week.
So I was trying to explain. So of the three of our listeners that are, older, I was trying to explain to my son why that was such a significant thing. And I was trying to talk to him about the context of TV Guide and going through and looking at what was on what channel, and having to plan what you were going to watch, because mom and dad got precedence. If anything you wanted to watch on any channel happened to interfere with like the nightly news or something like that.
Or MASH.
And then son of a bitch, how that would be like breaking news and it would just cut in over your show, and then you would never get to see it because you didn't know if you were going to get reruns over that. And then just the fact how my parents were like, we don't need to go to the theaters all the time. We can get movies in our home. Now, we're not like your bougie friend Eric, who's got the cable. We're not like him trying to rub that in everybody's face. Mind you,
just living well, man.
All right, but you got time for the movie of the week, and I would say compared to cable, movie of the week is the little nubby baby teeth of TV.
Really?
Yeah, where just go to your house, there was shit coming on all the time.
Well, I'm going back to the movie of the week, kind of how important it was. I do remember very distinctly 3 things in the movie of the week that I really, really wanted to see. One, which we talked about a couple of weeks ago with the Rankin and Bass Return of the King. I mean, I've had to beg my grandma. I saw it on the TV Guide. I go, I must be at home at 7:00 to watch this movie. I cannot miss it. I begged and pleaded, and they relented, and I could watch that one. And I still remember that in my brain distinctly. The other one was Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park. That was going to be a movie of the week. And I also begged to see that one because to me, Kiss were just like superheroes. And I thought it was amazing. You watch it now, it is just awful. Just one of the things, I can't believe they even put this on TV. Their acting is terrible. The effects are terrible. I think it was produced by Hanna-Barbera. Hanna-Barbera did Kiss Meets the Phantom. But another one.
It'd be so great if Grape Ape just showed up out of nowhere.
Grape Ape. Another one that was also equally as important was the Star Wars Holiday Special.
Holiday Special, yes.
Yeah, if I told my grandma I was going to die if I did not see the Star Wars Holiday Special. I must be there. I have to see it. And now it's one of the most notoriously bad things ever put on TV. But I do remember them showing Boba Fett for the first time in this cartoon in the middle of the show.
Yeah, right on the back of that critter, and he had that weird voice.
And he had that little weird kind of gun that had looked like a magnet or something.
Yeah, at the end of it. Yeah, I remember that.
That was how important the movie of the week was. Salem's Lot was a movie of the week. That was a 2-parter. That was super important.
Yes, that was actually the first time I ever saw it.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, when there was only 3 channels, ABC, CBS, and NBC, you had to be there. That was that important. But Alligator is a lot of fun. It's more fun than it has any right to be because it doesn't take itself too seriously. Robert Forster is is fun. He's kind of he's too good of an actor for this movie.
It's male pattern baldness. Knock it off.
And everybody gives him shit about his bald patch, and apparently that was improvised. And John Sayles kept writing more and more bits about them making fun of his bald patch. And he plays a grizzled cop. He does it so well, and he just happens to be looking for a giant alligator that is that is eating people. Robin Riker.
It's just a. I'm just thinking like, hey, take the gas mask. Going down the sewers, take the gas mask. You're gonna run into some methane. Don't worry about it. We just happen to have like you need some boots. We got those too. We got everything you need to go hunting alligators in the LAPD. Let's go.
Yeah. Robin Riker plays Dr. Marissa Kendall. She was pretty cute. Probably a little too young if you place it if she's supposed to be the owner of the gigantic mutated alligator, and she was probably like 12, maybe 12 as a kid, and they throw the alligator into the toilet, and now she's a doctor. She's got to be, 24?
24. So 6 years to finish her bachelor's, do her master's, and do her doctoral research and defend it. So what I think is that you are being a bit of a misogynist and not thinking that she could be capable of doing that.
I'm just saying that Robert Forster is too old for her. Is all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
I do like her
comment on her capabilities.
I do like her comment when she gets into his apartment. Like, it looks a lot like I thought it would.
And that's where I like the movie is that there's character moments where, a normal giant monster movie probably wouldn't spend the time to actually care about the people involved. And Robert Forster's, he's Detective David Madison. And he's got this backstory where his partner was killed in the line of duty. And it turns out it was because that he was frozen in action and didn't do anything to save him, which, really isn't his fault, but he's got that kind of hanging over him. It's got Michael Gazzo, who is Frankie Five Angels in The Godfather 2.
Yes. It was just, man, his eyebrows alone should have gotten their own credit.
Yeah.
His eyebrows and his mustache. Amazing.
But he plays Chief Clark, but all I can think of him is as Frankie Five Angels. Let me tell you, Michael. Or where, Tom, Robert Duvall's character, Tom Hagen, convinces him to kill himself after they bring his brother back from the old country during the Senate hearing, and they convince Frankie Pentangelis to cut his own wrists at the end of the Godfather 2, which is an amazing movie. Way better than Alligator, but we're not here to talk about The Godfather Part 2.
What was it like they did in the old days? The Romans just take a hot bath.
Yes, yeah, take a hot bath. It had Sidney Lassick is the unscrupulous pet store owner who's given dogs to this research lab. The only thing I remember him from specifically is he was Cheswick in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
See, this is what the 70s and 80s were to me. It was all of these fantastic character actors.
Mm-hmm.
And they were all over the place because they were not only doing movies, but they were all over TV as well.
Yeah, exactly. This was full of East Coast character actors. You got Michael Gazzo as the chief. You got Sidney Lassick as the pet store owner. You got Henry Silva as Colonel Brock, the guy who's supposed to go in and kill the alligator, and he was in a ton of stuff. You see Henry Silva, and he just is one of those that guy actors from the 70s. He was the Manchurian Candidate.
It's the horny drunk in this.
Yeah, he was pretty horny.
You're a very pretty girl.
Ocean's 11, Manchurian Candidate, tons of Assassination, The Italian Connection. He was in a lot of stuff. White Fang to the Rescue. Man, Alligator, Megaforce. He was Megaforce. Chained Heat. Escape from the Bronx, Cannonball Run 2, Lust in the Dust, Alan Quartermain and the Lost City of Gold, Amazon Women in the Moon, Above the Law with Steven Seagal, it was in Dick Tracy, Silence of the Hams. That's terrible. Terrible parody movie. Ghost Dog, The Way of the Samurai, and he was in tons of TV. And he's just one of those that guys from the 70s. He was in a movie called The Cry of a Prostitute.
I can picture Robert Whittaker waving his gun around and then sheathing it in Ghost Dog, Way of the Samurai. Should we talk about some critical consensus?
Yes, let's talk about the critical consensus.
All right, let's. I'm going to try to up my energy levels here. Let's do this. All right, Rotten Tomatoes, 87% approval rating. That's based on 30 reviews. That gives us an average of 6.8. The film has a weighted average score on Metacritic of 62 out of 100 based on 10 reviews, and that's indicating a generally favorable review.
87%, that's pretty good for Rotten Tomatoes for this movie.
It is. All right, Vincent Canby of the New York Times gave the film a mostly positive review, writing that its suspense is frequently as genuine as its wit and its fond awareness of the cliches it uses. Vincent Canby, putting it on the nose 100%. The staff of Variety concluded, dumb as it is, director Louis Teague brings some pluses to the pick. Robert Forster as a detective and Riker are amiable leads, never taking the film too seriously. Tech credits are cheap but serviceable. Roger Ebert, writing for the Chicago Sun-Times, gave the film 1 out of 4 stars because he is a prick, suggesting that it would be best to flush this movie down the toilet to see if it grows into something big and fearsome. In 2000, Kim Newman of Empire praised the perceived wit of the film's script as well as the solid performances, effective effects, and spirited B-level direction. I think the tail should have gotten an award because that freaking gator
the tail was whipping people left and right.
Yeah, it could spin so quick. Its snouts in one scene, the next minute its tail knocking the shit out of somebody. Anyway, Kim Newman of Empire praised the perceived wit of the film's script as well as the solid performances and effective effects. We talked about this. Entertainment Weekly's Chris Nashawati called the film clever, funny, and wonderfully bloody, and wrote that this B movie deserves an A-. In 2013, Jim Niffle of Den of Geek awarded the film 4.5 out of 5 stars, calling it intelligent and stylish. Film historian Leonard Maltin gave the film a score of 3 out of 4 stars and wrote, if you've got to make a film about a giant alligator that's terrorized Chicago, this is the way to do it, with a sense of fun to balance the expected violence and genuine scares. I thought this was L.A.
I thought it was St. Louis.
Shows you how much attention we were paying.
Exactly. I thought it was. I mean, I kind of thought it was Chicago because the girl, like, flushed the alligator in Chicago. There's something that said Chicago at the beginning, but then they started talking about, Missouri and I don't know. I thought it was St. Louis, due to some of the dialogue. But yeah, I don't. But L.A. Yeah, there's the gigantic waterways and things. So yeah, I don't know.
That's what I thought it would have been. So, all right. So we're going to move into the plot itself. Can I just express my extreme disappointment with the lack of death rolls?
Oh yeah.
Drag it into the water, death roll it, drown it. Instead, it's just we're going to build. I love that just like we got 2 little ass streets with some toy cars. We're going to put our little baby gator on it and have it walk down and pretend it's huge.
I love that too. I think it's so funny. They used every trick in the book to try to get the alligator to look good. They had a gigantic animatronic alligator that didn't work very well, so they had to jaws it and not show it as much. There's some good practical effects. I thought
it was really cool. I totally believed that thing was coming through the sidewalk.
Yeah, that looked good. That looked really good.
I thought it looked great.
Yeah, that is just part of the fun of the movie is that they $1 million. They made it look pretty good, and it is memorable because the script is better than it has to be.
Can I make some claws? Do I get to make some claws? Head, tail. What about just like something for the back? Like it's just in the water. I can do like just the back, nothing underneath it. We could do some shots with that. Listen to me. Head, tail, nothing else. It's like the middle part of the gator does not exist.
Mm-hmm.
just sitting there holding people sideways while you're chomping them. Help me, help me, help me. It's so great.
So everybody knows the urban legend that people were flushing alligators down the toilets and there's giant alligators in the sewer. Well, this took that premise to an extreme because the alligator is eating chemically altered dogs in the sewer that are being dumped by our unscrupulous pet salesman.
Ain't that a bitch?
Yes.
Female dog?
Dogs, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep, hold on 1 second. Hold on. All right,
wonderful.
Yeah. So starts with alligator wrestling. The little girl is fascinated with it. Probably little, she's into it. She gets herself an alligator. Dad doesn't like it. Flushes baby gator down the toilet. This is 1968. So 12 years later, here we are, and there's mysterious deaths going on in the sewers.
Can I just say what a stud those guys are? Just wandering around with like a chunk of an arm and a leg, when any normal human would be just like, they're just sitting there. Hey, take a look at this thing. Oh, look at this.
I'm just walking around with his hand.
Hey, oh, you see this half of a leg? There's kitty litter in here. What the hell?
Yeah. There's tons of jokes about Robert Forster's hairline, and it doesn't look that bad.
I'm not going to make jokes about hair.
Well, I was looking at his filmography. He was
for the listeners at home. Neil has a shaved head.
Okay, go ahead.
He was in a lot of movies, and Quentin Tarantino loved his performance in this movie so much that he based the character in Jackie Brown off of this performance in Alligator. We all know that Quentin Tarantino loves a genre movie, so that is Forster is a good actor. He's way better than in the material. He was in a ton of TV shows, and just all over, just every TV series. He would be a walk-on in almost anything. And then, of course, Quentin Tarantino gave him kind of a comeback in Jackie Brown, where he got Academy Award nomination. But some of the movies that he made was Body Chemistry 3, Point of Seduction, Scanner Cop 2, a scary movie called Uncle Sam. Remember that Uncle Sam poster where it's like a zombie, Uncle Sam? Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that one. Can we talk about something really important?
Sure.
I know you want to read the movies. Can we talk about something really important? I don't know how many times I've been somewhere that's slightly scary, and I've wanted to hide around a corner and come out and just grab a handful of your ass cheek.
Yeah. That's probably one of the funniest parts is that, the detective gets just a patrolman to kind of go down in the sewers. Nobody else wants to go with him. And
because he's dead. He's going to die.
Yeah. Everybody does not want this. So Officer Kelly goes with the detective down in the sewers, and he kind of plays that he's lost and he's screaming for him, and he just basically scares him by grabbing a big old chunk of his ass and
big handful of ass. He got a little bit in the middle there too.
Yeah,
so disturbing.
A little bit of an oil check going on in there. It is so funny to see Frank Pentangelis play a police chief.
For anyone not familiar with grappling or wrestling, this is when you take your hands and grab your opponent by the anus to distract them.
Oil check, fish hook.
You ever fish hook? I would take a fish hook than an oil check. You ever been oil checked?
It's just the. Isn't that like
no. So I was in side control, and I was trying to turn on this guy, and he looped an arm, and dude, he went in. Look at my fingers. You see this? Uh-huh. He went in like this. He went
for the prostate exam.
Yes, he went in deep, and it shocked and angered me.
What?
No, this is the credit card. This is the oil check.
Yeah. All right.
Not good. Not good at all. That patrolman needed to die. Thank God. But here's what gets me. How easy. So his leg is dangling down. That seems like a tough bite for a gator. It's got no way to like move its lower lip or stick that out. So it's got to turn sideways and kind of come at him like, hey, I just don't see it putting in that kind of effort.
It's so funny that you mentioned that because there's a documentary called In Search of Darkness, and it's all about horror movies from the video store era. And there's three different editions of it. But in the first one, the guy from Slipknot, Corey Taylor or whatever, he's talking about being a kid and really liking Alligator. But then the just exactly what you mentioned is like, so the alligator can climb. What's he doing? How can he reach this guy specifically? It kind of took him out of the movie with that implausible ability to bite him.
Yeah. Okay. And the other reason he had to die. All right. Giant alligator chasing me. I can lift my legs up. I don't need to like escape. I can put my legs up in this tube.
Yes.
This tube leading to the surface. But instead, I'm gonna hang my leg out, hoping that the alligator will instead grab my ass, much like I did to Frank or whatever the hell his name is. Horrific.
Yeah, the first big kill is our pet store owner. He's out there dumping these dog corpses into the sewer, and he has to climb down the ladder to get rid of them because he doesn't want to be found out by the detective. And then the alligator gets him, and then I think his leg is floating around the water treatment plant, and that convinces our detective to go and look. The
somebody else has got to run around with his leg, two-handing it. I think I found it.
The big villain in the movie is not necessarily the alligator. It is the corporation or the people that are funding all this animal testing to make gigantic animals because of the what was their excuse? It was like agriculture or whatever. So they're making gigantic cows.
Yeah. Well, there's a food shortage.
Yeah, food shortages.
So
yeah,
we can make these cows gigantic, and of course they'll need more food, to get that big. So that makes complete sense to me.
Yeah, I did like that part where the unscrupulous reporter is all up in Robert Forster's business, Detective Madison's business, and you just know he's going to get eaten eventually, right? Mm-hmm. So he puts out these stories about the sewer psycho, and some crazy guy confesses that he killed these people in the sewer, and they have this scene where he brings a bomb in the police station, and they stop him, and it's kind of funny, but this kind of is like the Chekhov's gun of the movie is that the guy who's pretending to do the bomb has like this detonator strapped to his chest. He just doesn't have anything to explode. But in the police evidence room, our detective goes and happens to find 3 sticks of dynamite that are just hanging loose.
Just hanging out. That's what we do.
Yeah, hanging loose in the evidence room, not made inert by the EOD people or anything like that. It was just 3 full sticks of dynamite just hanging out there. So he's going to blow up the gator. But I think the best part, and I think we've talked about it a little bit, is when the alligator breaks through the concrete of the sidewalk. It looked fucking awesome.
Sidewalk.
I thought it was awesome.
So good.
All these kids are outside playing stickball or whatever the kids do, and the police cannot drive a boat or cars in this movie. They immediately run over people in a wreck and flip the car over, and the policeman falls out of his car and he gets his leg bit off, which is pretty cool.
So for as slow as it's moving, everyone just waits a little bit too long.
Yeah.
At least the kid got behind a car. You know what? I'm going behind the car.
Yeah, exactly. There's a way to get away from this gator.
Yeah, bailing out of the car and just kind of hanging out there. But the whole time he's screaming, like my wife was not engaged with this movie at all. She just looks up and it's like, grab your gun, dumbass.
Well, bullets do not seem to do anything to this alligator at all.
Put one in its eye and you're going to start changing his mind.
Yeah. So, the love interest is also the alligator or lizard scientist, and she happens to be the one who dropped
herpetologist.
Herpetologist. I couldn't remember it off the top of my head. Herpetologist.
Thought that was somebody who just dealt with burning sensations in lizards.
Herpetologist. Yeah. let's go back to the nosy reporter. He gets his. He's trying to set up pictures and stuff like that of everything that's going on in the sewer.
Speaking of another character actor that was just in everything, and he's so cool. He just sparks up right in the hospital.
Yeah, everybody's smoking. This is the late 70s, early 80s. Everybody's smoking right in the hospital room, and it's got very. I just love these movies because there's really no accuracy in anything. They just shoot it and put it out there. And I just love that era, that late 70s, early 80s. And I've mentioned this 100 times before as we watched a lot of these movies from this era. I just kind of love that sleaziness of the late 70s and early 80s. There's just something about a movie where, the inner city is run down and it's just this urban decay going on. And it just kind of captures that feeling. The other great kill is the kid getting eaten in the swimming pool, which I think traumatized a generation of people who watched this movie.
Hell yes. Okay, I don't swim. Can't swim. Never learned how to swim. I grew up in New Mexico. The chance of me being swept away by a tsunami, infinitesimal.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We're living out in the middle of the desert. Did you have any friends with pools?
No.
I didn't have any friends with pools. It basically you and then guys that I, did work for the Lord with in town. Right? But that encouraged me to never, ever want to swim. And that poor kid, too. He's the only person I felt bad for in that whole movie. He's like, he's like, no. And then they push him in and fucking eats him and then his friends. I hope you have PTSD, you little shits.
That's another thing. I love the ruthlessness of the era of these movies. They're not afraid to kill a kid.
Yeah, he's going down.
The kid is going to get eaten, and that really made me laugh. That would stick with you and not make you not want to swim. And also the movie Piranha, getting your butt bitten while you're sitting in an inner tube and getting your ass eaten off by these piranhas.
Okay. You're like sitting in an inner tube getting your ass eaten. I'm like, hey.
Not the good kind, not the salad tossing, but literally, getting eaten.
Before we get too personal, calm down. Where's David when you need him?
I love that Colonel Brock is brought in to be the big game hunter and catch the alligator. Unsuccessful. I do like he said, "Oh, alligator spore." He didn't say alligator shit. Alligator spore, but there was a lot of it.
Hey, an alligator has indigestion and makes it sound like this.
Yeah, he was creepy, trying to pick up on the reporters.
When an alligator flies, a helicopter goes skippy, 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 skippy.
The part where he gets eaten is pretty funny because he hires some like inner city kids to go help him, and they nope out of there immediately as soon as they see him getting eaten by the alligator.
If you're going to give somebody fake Jack Daniels, at least give them fake Jack Daniels with the right damn color without all the weird foam on it. Look like they just, okay, hey, we mixed up a pot of tea. Let's throw it in there. Not that I would have ever had any of that as a beverage, but I've seen it and I understand that it's not that color, nor does it foam up like that.
Jack and Coke is one of my favorites. That's a good one.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I love the big set piece of the movie is when the alligator gets loose at the evil lab owner's somebody's wedding, and it's just eating people left and right, whipping people with tails left and right, which is so funny. That tail is just whipping.
You know what that alligator was upset because the real crime was what he was doing to those steaks.
Yes. He had a big story about the type of wood and it was weird.
Yeah. I'm not going to cook it well or correctly, but I know how to get the woods for this. So you got to soak it. That's what you do.
Yeah. I love the movie. The music was a little bit of a Jaws ripoff, which was kind of fun. The wedding party attack was pretty great with this eating maids left and right, eating the bad guy, eating the mayor. And, just and again, it was a nice rampage.
3 feet over, hop on the hood. You seem pretty safe.
Yeah. But I like the alligator, the effects for the alligator at the end of the movie. I thought they were pretty good.
The getting blown up effect was awesome.
Yeah.
Just alligator chunks.
Well, what's funny is after Robert Forster died, Bryan Cranston put out a tweet saying that he was a production assistant on Alligator, and he's the one who had to wrangle alligator guts. He said it was like one of his first jobs in Hollywood. I like the sewer chase where the alligator's chasing our detective through the sewer, and he's trying to get through the manhole cover, but the stupid car is parked on the manhole cover. And, it was like oh my God, move. And, the doctor, our female protagonist, pushes the lady out and just takes the car over, and he gets out just in time. And they have to do one last joke at his lack of hair.
Poor guy.
If you look at Wikipedia, they do have a complete list of nature run amok movies and a list of natural horror films, right? So we're going to go by species. Arachnids, Kingdom of the Spiders, 1977. Tarantulas, Deadly Cargo. Arachnophobia, that's really, really good. Ticks, I barely remember. Eight-Legged Freaks, we did an episode on, really, really good. Big Ass Spider, and Lavalantula.
I've talked about it before. I've seen Lavalantula for what it is. It's actually really, really good. There are in the gorge. There are some fucked up spiders. Yes. You need to watch it just for the spider effect. They're in the gorge and they're coming at them. Really cool spiders.
For birds, you have The Birds, the original one. The Birds 2, Land's End. Isn't that a catalog? Beaks, the movie.
How do you top the Birds? How do you go, Hitchcock? He didn't get shit right. Let's do this again.
There's a movie called K-A-W, made for television horror movie. Caw, about evil ravens. Birdemic, and Birdemic 2. There's Piranha 2 The Spawning, Piranha 3D, and Piranha 3 Double D. And then, of course, you got lots of shark movies. There's a shitload of shark movies, not including Jaws. You have Great White, Cruel Jaws, Deep Blue Sea, Shark Attack, and all your sci-fi movies like Megalodon, Shark Zone, 12 Days of Terror, Shark Swarm, Malibu Shark Attack. Yeah. Two-Headed Shark Attack, Sharknado. A lot of those. You have Ants with Them, Empire of the Ants, The Deadly Bees. We're talking about bees. Cockroaches and Creepshow and Mimic. Mimic was pretty good. That's the first Guillermo del Toro movie I remember where they try to stop this super flu and that causes genetic mutations in these cockroaches, and they look like people. They kind of disguise themselves or like camouflage themselves.
Yeah, all the clicking and stuff that they would do when they were trying to. Yeah, that one was
lots
fun.
of bear movies like Grizzly, Prophecy, Grizzly Rage, Grizzly Park, Bear, Backcountry, Into the Grizzly Maze. That's weird. Into the Grizzly Maze. Cocaine Bear, which was not bad.
I loved Cocaine Bear.
I just wish it was more. At the end, they started out strong, lots of bloody deaths and crazy stuff, but at the end, they kind of pulled back, and I didn't enjoy quite the end. Lots of dog movies: Dogs, The Pack, Cujo, The Breed, Felines, Black Zoo. Don't remember that one. Maneater, Pigs. You got Razorback, Monkey Shines, Shakma, and Blood Monkey.
Blood Monkey.
Rats with Willard, Ben, Deadly Eyes, Graveyard Shift, and Willard. There was another one called of Unknown Origin where Peter Weller is fighting this gigantic rat in his basement apartment. Do you remember that movie?
Yes, I do.
That was a really good movie.
Oh my God.
That's something we should probably do sometime.
This is a little subgenre I had not realized I had watched so many of. As you're like naming these off, I'm like, holy shit, there were a ton of those. You
got Night of the Lepus with giant rabbits.
Yep.
Black Sheep with genetically engineered sheep. That's a pretty good one. These killer sheep and pulling people's guts out and stuff like that. It's a comedy, really good.
Seems
Lots of alligator movies.
Seems like a New Zealand kind of flick.
Yeah, it is. So you got Alligator, Alligator 2, The Mutation, Killer Crocodile, Lake Placid, which we've done an episode on. There's 2, 3, and Lake Placid, the final chapter. Crocodile, Blood Surf, Blackwater, Croc. There's this movie called Rogue that looks really good. It's an Australian crocodile movie, and it looks really good. I saw I was watching one of those world's scariest movies thing, and they talk about it. Came out in 2007. And of course, there's that one called Crawl, which is pretty good, where that flood happens and everybody's, trying to get away from the alligators. We should do that one eventually.
That is it's a really good movie. I think they did the tension of it like really well. When I saw it with my wife, we both enjoyed that.
Yeah, that's definitely on the monster list. Lots of snakes, rattlers, Anaconda, which we're going to be doing in 2 weeks. Lots of Anaconda sequels: The Hunt for the Blood Orchid, Offspring, and Trail of Blood, King Cobra, Snakes on a Plane, and Mega Snake. Frogs, Food of the Gods, Day of the Animals looks hilarious to me. It's got Leslie Nielsen shirtless fighting a bear. Looks pretty interesting.
I'm in.
Day of the Animals, released in 1977. And Leslie Nielsen is surprisingly buff. It's good shape. If you see him even in the Naked Gun movies when he takes off his shirt and stuff like that, he's in good shape. It's got Christopher George, who is in Enter the Ninja and Pieces, and Leslie Nielsen. And Andrew Stevens, too. Man, that's a list of B-movie people in Day of the Animals, so we got to check that out. So when animals attack, that's a big genre of movies to dive into.
I just did not realize I'd watched so many of those.
Oh, yeah. There was the one where Swarm or Buzz or something like that. Or there's even that one called where the people turn into snakes.
Yeah.
I remember that one really specifically, where they're taking some sort of medication or drug and it turns the guy into like a snake.
So where do you think this genre peaked?
Well, Jaws is the one, I think, where it was the kind of the nexus of all these other movies, and everything kind of flows out of Jaws. It's the the wellspring with all these other movies flow.
You're incorrect. You're incorrect.
Where did it start?
No, I'm talking about the peak. What the peak was. What the pinnacle. What the best one of these animal movies was.
I'm dying to hear your opinion.
Tremors.
Oh yeah, Tremors. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tremors. We did an episode on that one. Very good.
Can't believe we turned down free beer.
Yeah, that was a pretty good one. So, yeah. Well, anyway, that was Alligator. We made it all the way through an hour talking about Alligator. I was a little worried that we may not have enough to talk about, but yet here we are. So that's pretty good.
Even with the technical difficulties we had,
we did good. So if you want to hit us up on our socials, or you want to send us an email, rvspodcast222@gmail.com. We're on Blue Sky. We are on Instagram. We're on the Facebook. And you can also send us a direct message from our Buzzsprout webpage and send us a text and let us know how you're doing. We'll definitely read it on the air. We love to hear from our listeners. Next week, we're going back to Japan. For not a Godzilla movie, we're going to do the Pepsi to Godzilla's Coke. We're doing Gamera, Guardian of the Universe, which is actually a really good Gamera movie. It was part of this trilogy of Gamera movies that came out in the 90s that even surpassed what a lot of people thought were the Godzilla movies. This was the Heisei era of Gamera movies, and the first one was Gamera, Guardian of the Universe, and then there was Gamera, Attack of Legion, and The Revenge of Iris, were the 3 ones that came out there. And there was one that came out in 2006 called Gamera the Brave, which is actually pretty good. And there's a new one called Gamera Rebirth, which is like an animated thing that I haven't seen yet, but I do enjoy me some Gamera. Even like the 60s ones. I remember watching those as a kid, where these kids had to get into like a little submarine inside Gamera's body to get out these eggs, these Gauss eggs in there. I remember that as a kid.
I am not going to be embarrassed to say that I had to look up which one Gamera is. Okay.
Giant turtle.
Yep.
Gamera, Guardian of the Universe, Gamera 2, Attack of Legion, and Gamera 3, Revenge of Iris. Those are the 3 peaks of Gamera movies. And then Gamera the Brave came out, which is pretty good too.
Didn't he didn't he like squirt fire out of his butt and like go into his shell and fly that way at some point?
He tucks his little arms and legs into his shell and spins around and flies. And in the later movies, he can shoot like a giant beam out of the center of his chest, like his final like attack type thing. Would you be surprised to know that I own these movies on Blu-ray?
Would you be surprised to know I might not be looking forward to watching this movie?
It's actually pretty good.
Okay.
Good. I like it. Gamera, Guardian of the Universe from 1995.
Man, it's
Steven Seagal's daughter is in this movie.
Yeah,
that's going to sell you any on that.
Yeah, that's not gonna sell me at all.
Yeah,
not going to sell me at all.
Anyway, thank you for joining us. We've had some really good download weeks the past 2 weeks, so thank you very much for listening. We appreciate it. And
going to get a hold of this episode, and we're going to ruin that streak.
Yes, probably, because the more obscure we go, the less listeners we get. So
yeah, Alligator, never heard of it.
Yeah, but check it out. I'm pretty sure a lot of people saw this just like you did as a TV movie of the week. So people remember it. We'll see. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Everybody, have a good week. And you don't need to watch it. We watch it for you. You're welcome.
Thank you for listening to the Retro Video Store Podcast.